every girl needs to be financially independent. So you're not just someone's wife or someone's daughter or someone's sister.
You pack your bags, book that one-way ticket to Paris, and imagine yourself living out your own romantic movie. You're convinced that European men are going to sweep you off your feet with their sophisticated charm and old-world romance. But then reality hits like a cold slap of cappuccino to the face. Welcome to the shocking truth about modern women getting rejected overseas. And trust me, what you're about to discover will completely change how you think about international dating. What's happening right now across Europe, Australia, and Asia is absolutely mind-blowing. American women are packing up their entire lives, moving to foreign countries, and expecting to be treated like princesses, only to find themselves more single than ever before. And the stories they're telling? They're both hilarious and eye-opening at the same time. Let me paint you a picture of what's really going down. These women are arriving in places like Germany, France, Italy, and Spain with this fantasy that foreign men are going to worship the ground they walk on simply because they're American. They've been sold this dream by social media that all they need is a passport, and suddenly they'll have their pick of sophisticated European gentlemen. But here's the kicker. It's backfiring spectacularly. Take this woman in Italy, sipping her morning cappuccino and complaining that Italian men don't hold doors or walk on the street side like American men do. She's literally upset that Italian men aren't acting like Texan gentlemen. Think about how absurd that sounds for a second. You move to a completely different country with a completely different culture and then complain when the locals don't behave exactly like the people back home. But it gets even better. There's this American woman in France who's trying to explain why French men don't want her by using these elaborate psychological theories. She's talking about how American men only have 4 or 5 emotions: hungry, really hungry, tired, and sports, while French men have 15,000 more emotions. She calls dating French men anthropological and psychological, describing it as a game where there are no winners and lots of tears. Here's what she's really saying without saying it. French men aren't falling for her games, and she can't handle it. She's so used to American men who might put up with her behavior that when she encounters men from a culture that values directness and authenticity, she completely falls apart.
I don't have time to hate someone. Not when I'm busy building myself, growing my soul, and chasing peace.
The entitlement is absolutely staggering. These women genuinely believe that being American gives them some sort of special status overseas. One woman in Spain is complaining because Spanish men don't approach women the same way American men do. She's expecting them to walk up and offer to buy drinks, but when they don't, she calls the experience freaking struggling and admits she'll probably just stay single rather than make the first move herself. Think about this logic for a moment. She'd rather remain alone than risk the possibility of rejection. But somehow, she expects men to constantly risk rejection by approaching her. The double standard is incredible. Then there's the financial aspect that really exposes what these women are actually after. Multiple women are complaining about having to split checks in Germany, going on walks instead of expensive dinner dates, and not getting their drinks paid for. One woman is literally offended that German men expect her to pay for her own margarita while they drink free water. She calls German men cheap for not wanting to subsidize her lifestyle. But here's the reality. German culture values equality and personal responsibility. These men aren't being cheap. They're treating women as equals. But equality isn't what these women actually want. They want all the benefits of traditional chivalry without any of the traditional responsibilities that came with it. The cultural ignorance is absolutely breathtaking. There's a woman in England complaining that British men don't approach women the same way American men do. She spent an entire hour giving the look to a group of British men, expecting them to come over, and when they finally did, they explained that British women would have just approached them directly. Her response? Complaining that European men don't act like Americans. This reveals something profound about the modern dating crisis.
West has never known what to do about them. You went back and forth for centuries, trying to decide if women were goddesses or witches, tools of the devil.
These women have been conditioned to believe that dating should require zero effort from them. They expect to be pursued, entertained, and financially supported without bringing anything meaningful to the table themselves. When they encounter cultures where women are expected to be more proactive and self-sufficient, they completely fall apart. The Australia situation is particularly telling. One woman claims that Australian men want to be chased and play hard to get, but then admits that high-value women shouldn't have to do much except want constant time, affection, and love. She literally contradicts herself in the same breath, complaining that men won't chase her while simultaneously claiming she shouldn't have to put in any effort. What's really happening is that these women are encountering men who have options and standards. Foreign men aren't desperate for American women the way these women assumed they would be. In fact, many foreign men specifically prefer women from their own cultures who understand local customs, speak the language, and don't carry the entitled attitudes that have become associated with modern Western dating culture. The Thailand example is particularly eye-opening. A woman there admits that most foreign men in Thailand are interested in Thai women, not foreign women. She knows multiple foreign women who eventually left the country because they couldn't find relationships. But instead of examining what they might be doing wrong, she blames the men for playing games. Here's what she's missing. The reason men can build successful relationships with local women in places like Thailand is because those women typically approach relationships with gratitude and genuine appreciation. They don't show up with a list of demands and expectations about who should pay for what. The Russian perspective adds another layer to this story. Russian men apparently find Western women too masculine and independent for their taste. They prefer women who dress femininely, take care of their appearance, and don't walk around in pajamas. This isn't about oppression, it's about attraction and compatibility. The most revealing part of all these stories is how these women respond to direct communication. When German men honestly tell them they don't look good in certain outfits, the women get offended and claim they just wanted to be affirmed, not told the truth. They want the benefits of living in cultures known for their directness and honesty, but only when it benefits them. What's really happening here is a massive culture clash between modern Western dating expectations and traditional international dating norms. These women have been raised in a culture where they're told they deserve everything simply for existing, but they're encountering men from cultures that value reciprocity, effort, and genuine contribution to relationships. The saddest part is how little self-awareness these women demonstrate. Instead of adapting to local customs, learning the language, or examining their own behavior, they blame entire nations of men for not living up to their unrealistic standards.
You think money's expensive? Try wasting time. Time is the only thing you can't buy back. Every hour spent on nonsense is an hour stolen from your future.
They'd rather stay single than lower their expectations or increase their own efforts. This isn't really about geography or nationality. It's about a fundamental mismatch between what modern women think they deserve and what they're actually willing to offer in return. The passport isn't magic, and foreign men aren't desperate. They have the same basic human desires for respect, appreciation, and genuine connection that men everywhere have. The women who succeed in international dating are the ones who approach new cultures with humility, curiosity, and genuine interest in adapting. They learn the language, understand local customs, and build real connections based on mutual respect and shared values. They don't show up expecting to be worshipped simply for being foreign. If you're thinking about dating internationally, the lesson here is clear. Success comes from what you bring to the table, not what country your passport is from. Entitlement doesn't translate across cultures, but authenticity, kindness, and genuine interest in others does. The women getting rejected overseas aren't victims of foreign men's standards. They're experiencing the natural consequences of their own unrealistic expectations and entitled attitudes. The world is full of amazing people looking for genuine connections, but those connections are built on mutual respect and shared effort, not one-sided demands for constant validation and financial support. That's true whether you're dating in Detroit or Dubai, and no amount of international travel is going to change that fundamental reality.